don't buy them. We buy from everyone else first. So I know you didn't come here to hear me speak. You came here to hear my birthday man speak. We're born the same day. The ancestors brought us together. When you turn my birth year around, which is 1947, I get Dr. Umar, and he's 1974. So the ancestors brought us together, and I give thanks for that. And we give thanks for Dr. Umar. Yes? Dr. UMAR IFATUNDE. So without further ado, I give you the Prince of Africa, the Prince of Pan-Africanism. Up you mighty race, Dr. UMAR IFATUNDE.
All right, move in a little closer.
All right, test. New York City, make some noise one time. Where the Black Power at?
All around.
It's an honor to be here. I remember the first time I came to Harlem. It was October the 30th of 2010. I came to the National Black Theater. At that time, I wasn't known outside of the state of Pennsylvania. I came to 125th and 5th on the night before Halloween 2010. And I was armed with a public access television interview DVD that I did in Chicago. And at the National Black Theater of 125th and 5th, I distributed copies of that Chicago interview that night, October the 30th of 2010. And when I tell you that 24 hours later, my phone started to ring. And that phone started to ring not only with New York City area codes, it started to ring with Texas area codes, Maryland area codes, Alabama area codes, Florida area codes, California area codes, African area codes, Asian area codes, London area codes, French area codes. And so New York City, I want to say that I owe you a special thank you because it was right here in Harlem, New York that y'all gave birth to the Prince of Pan-Africanism. And it's only fitting because New York City has been the mecca for Pan-Africanism from the very beginning. John Brown Russworm from Jamaica, the first black man to publish a newspaper in America, published Freedom's Journal, 1827, from right here in New York. He was a Pan-Africanist, one of the first to go to Liberia, and he settled there, he died there. Alexander Crummell, the father of black social work, the founder of the first professional intellectual association for black men. He was a Pan-Africanist. His church was in New York. He's buried in Brooklyn today. Henry Highland Garnett, Pan-Africanist, who went to Liberia with one leg, fighting to end slavery from that side of the world. Henry Highland Garnett is buried in Liberia, but his church was right here in New York City. The most honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey, you know that story. We also have El Hajj Malik El Shabazz, Malcolm X, achieving his greatest greatness from right here in New York City. Kwame Nkrumah, Osajifo, the independence leader of Ghana, he had to come through New York. So it was only right that Dr. UMAR Ifatunde got baptized through New York. I understand that we have to be done here in 20 minutes, no problem. I'm going to keep my remarks to 20 minutes, so we'll be done by 7 o'clock. And anyone who wants to talk to me after that or take a photo with me after that, I'll be here for you. Brothers and sisters, 4 years ago, we purchased a school in Wilmington, Delaware. Many of you here in New York City and New York State donated your hard-earned money so we could purchase that school, which we did in 2019. Well, as I stand here before you today, I am proud to let you know that the first school in American history, built exclusively with the African dollar, will be ready and will be open this Kwanzaa of 2023. And brothers and sisters, this will be a community grand opening, so I want all of you to come on down to Wilmington, Delaware, and celebrate and what we did as African people by ourselves. We have to stop depending on white handouts. We got to stop depending on government grants. We got to stop begging rich white people to help black people do what black people need to do themselves. Black women, you spend $30 billion on hair care. You spend more on hair than 25% of African countries have to function off an entire year. Black men, we spend $2 billion on Air Jordan, another $4 billion on liquor. Think of $6 billion right there that we could use to create after-school jobs for black boys in Harlem, after-school jobs for black boys in Brooklyn, after-school jobs for black boys in Queens, after-school jobs for black boys in the Bronx and Staten Island. We can solve our own problems. But in order for African people to solve our own problems, we have to become economically disciplined. We have not been an economically disciplined people. I hear the cry for reparations, and I support reparations. Pan-Africanism gave birth to the reparations movement. It's nothing new. But we cannot be hypocrites. We cannot say that we need money to fix our problem while we make Koreans into billionaires every year. We cannot say we need government handouts to fix our problems when we turn Arabs into billionaires every year. We cannot say we need white handouts and government reparations to fix our problems when we make multi-millionaires out of people who don't look like us and don't care for us.
Thank you.
As a psychologist, you cannot tell me that you're going to be undisciplined with the money you have, but soon when you get reparations, you're going to become disciplined overnight. That is an absolute lie. If you weren't disciplined with your stimulus check, if you weren't disciplined with your tax return, if you weren't disciplined with your paycheck, you will not be disciplined with reparations either. When I look at the reparations movement, I have 5 thoughts that I want to share with you today, New York City. And I want you to think about what I talk about today, and I want you to think about it and challenge your own self in the conclusions you have brought as it relates to reparations. Number 1, I want to be clear about something. I do not support slave lineage-based reparations. I support race-based reparations. And the reason I do not support slave lineage-based reparations, if you say that anyone who is a descendant of an enslaved African is qualified to receive reparations, you just qualified over 25 million white people who had an African ancestor on the plantation. See, what you failed to realize is there's white people in New York who had a great black grandmother who was raped by a great slave-owning white grandfather. And the offspring of that rape were light in complexion, and they were able to pass and live their lives as white people because their skin tone was light. And down through the generations, they just passed off as white people. But now that it's time for reparations, you're going to find white folks who have an African somewhere in their family tree. They're going to shake every Negro out that tree they can find. And they will be the first ones in line to get your reparations. So it cannot be lineage-based because you have non-Africans who have lineage in slavery. It has to be racially based, brothers and sisters. In addition to that, we have to be careful about pushing a reparations package that allows every single American African to get a check. Reparations is not for you to pay your bills. Reparations is not for you to get a new car. Reparations is not a down payment on your new house. Reparations is not to fund you sending your black child to a white private school. Reparations is not for your individual agendas or your individual desires. Reparations is for the rehabilitation, remediation, and reconstruction of the American African kingdom. It is about the people not the individuals. I do not support any strategy that seeks to give every American African a check, because most of us are too economically undisciplined and we are too unloyal to the African family to use that money for what it needs to be used for. What we need to do, brothers and sisters, is we need to organize, get organized. The most honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey from right here in New York City said, the greatest weapon used against the Negro is disorganization. He said the only way we can save ourselves is we must come together. And the only way we can benefit from coming together is by a solid system of organization. The white man is not more intelligent than the black man. He's more organized. The Chinese are not more intelligent than we are. They are more organized. The Arabs are not more astute in business and economics than we are. They are more organized than we are. Brothers and sisters, you can't just sit around and pray and vote and hope that things will change. You have to make things change.
Thank you.
Brothers and sisters, Jesus Christ is not coming to save you. And since most of you pray to a white one anyway, he damn sure ain't coming to save you. He's applying for your reparations check right now. We have to save ourselves, and we can do it. One of the things that the reparations movement is not discussing enough of is the psychological cost of the Ma'afa. We are ignoring the psychological damages, and we are over-relying on unpaid plantation wages. Brothers and sisters, 246 years of unpaid plantation labor does not compare to 400 years of psychological terrorism, 400 years of intellectual disrespect, 400 years of cultural annihilation, 400 years of systemic dehumanization. Focus on the psychological damages more than the plantation wages. But more important than that, New York City, more important than that, if we allow the United States government to compensate us with $1 that has no mineral value, if we allow the United States government to compensate us with $1 that has no gold equivalent, a US dollar that has no silver equivalent, a US dollar that has no platinum equivalent, a US dollar that has no oil equivalent, a US dollar that has no gas equivalent, if we accept worthless US currency for the greatest crime in human history, we have just disrespected our ancestors, brothers and sisters. We don't want your dirty money, and we don't want your worthless money. You know what we do want? We want land. You know what we do want? We want resources. You know what we do want? We want assets. You know what we do want? We want institutions. Brothers and sisters, please don't be short-sighted with reparations. Reparations is not only for you, it's for the ancestors. It's not only for you, it's for the unborn. It's not only for you, it's for every African who ever suffered the hell in the gallows. For every African who ever suffered the hell in the 13 colonies. It's for every African who ever suffered the hell of European domination. If I had it my way, there would only be one reparations. If I had it my way, the Caribbean reparations would be tied to the South American reparations. And the South American reparations would be tied to the North American reparations. And North American reparations would be tied to the European African reparations. And the European African reparations would be tied to African reparations, Australian reparations, and South Pacific reparations. But I understand most of our people operate on a system of tribalism. I understand most black people cannot bring themselves to understand that fighting for the group will be infinitely more beneficial than fighting for ourselves.
We are one.
That's right.
We are one people.
That's right.
As Pan-Africanists, we believe all African people are but one family. Whether you in Nigeria speaking Igbo, whether you in South Africa speaking Zulu, whether in New York City speaking Ebonics, whether you in Haiti speaking Patois, no matter where you are, one family. Our blood is more important than our religion. Our blood is more important than our language. Our blood is more important than our nationalities. Our blood is more important than our ethnicities. Marcus Garvey said, put the race first. We still don't put the race first. We put the clique first. And if we don't learn to stand against together as a family, we will perish separately as fools. Brothers and sisters,
That's right.
brothers and sisters, we got to get serious about reparations. We're not thinking this thing through fully enough and comprehensively enough. We want control of all black music, from Biggie Smalls to Tupac. We want control of all black music, from Sam Cooke to Whitney Houston. We want control of all black music. Why? Because black music is one of America's top export industries. This country makes more money off of selling your talent than almost anything else it sells to the world. We want music. We want our inventions back. Everything we invented, we want it back. We want the cell phone and the internet. We want the helicopter and the refrigerated truck. We want the gas mask and the stoplight. And if somebody was to use an invention that came out of an African mind, you will pay us to use that invention. We have to give you a license to use that invention. Brothers and sisters, I want to move on to education because school is coming back up in a few weeks. And I want all you black mothers and black fathers to hear me. Professionally, I am a school psychologist. My doctorate is clinical psychology. I evaluate mental illness and I evaluate learning disabilities. And my black parents in New York, I need you to stop and slow down. Stop putting our kids in special education. Stop getting our children evaluated for learning disabilities. Stop getting them tested for ADHD, which doesn't even exist. Nothing is wrong with black boys. Black boys can learn as well as white boys. The problem is black boys have to learn while they're being insulted daily by racist white teachers in the boroughs of New York City and across the state of New York. It is the psychological terrorism. It is the psychological terrorism. It is the psychological terrorism in New York's classrooms that are responsible for the low test scores, the high dropout rates, the high ADHD diagnosis. It is the white racism in the classrooms that's responsible for the Ritalin prescriptions, and the Adderall prescriptions, and the Censored prescriptions, and the Cyclop prescriptions, and the Depakote prescriptions. Stop putting your child on drugs. Stop putting them in special education. Special education is the highway to mass incarceration. Special education is the highway to mass incarceration. I wish your Mayor Eric Adams was here right now, because I got a question for Mayor Eric Adams, and it's the same question I have for Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson. How in the hell did you find money to bring tens of thousands of anti-African migrants to New York City and pay for them to sleep in the hotels, pay for them to be fed, pay for them to get health care, pay for them to get money? How were you able to do that when New York City has one of the highest black homelessness rates? How were you able to do that when New York City has one of the highest black unemployment rates? You mean to tell me, Eric Adams, that as a black man, you will take the tax money from black New Yorkers and give it to immigrants who don't even like black people? And then you will even ask black people to open up their homes to immigrants, and you will pay them $125 a night for letting a non-English speaking, non-African liking immigrant stay in their house? Well, why can't we bring homeless black people in our house for $125? Why can't we bring homeless black children in our house for $125? Why can't we bring homeless black mothers in our house for $125 a night? New York City, I hope you're paying attention, and I hope your brothers and sisters in Chicago are paying attention. You are being ethnically cleansed right before your eyes. You are being replaced with brown people right before your eyes. And why are they trying to ethnically cleanse black people out of New York City? Why are they trying to ethnically cleanse black people out of Chicago? Because you are the two largest black cities in the United States. You are the two most conscious black cities in the United States. You are the two most economically empowered black cities in the United States. And guess what? The Democratic Party is tired of depending on black votes in order to get elected. So that's why Joe Biden said, right before he got sworn into office, he wants to fast track 6 million illegal immigrants to U.S. citizenship. Do you want to know why? Black men don't vote, and we ain't going to vote because we ain't got a damn thing to vote for. So Joe Biden says, since black men don't want to vote for white people who are not going to do anything for them, we're going to bring in millions of immigrants. and we're going to make them into U.S. citizens. And we're going to give them the right to vote so they can replace black men at the ballot box. There's black women who have decided they had enough of getting their vote exploited by the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. So Joe Biden and the Democrats have decided we're just going to bring illegal immigrants in. We're going to gentrify New York, push the black people out, so we don't have to beg black people to get a vote that they know is not going to serve them. We can instead depend on these immigrants to vote for us. Brothers and sisters, y'all got to hold Eric Adams accountable. Y'all might got to occupy City Hall. Y'all might have to stop the trains from running. You might got to stop the buses from running. You're going to have to get the attention of your local government, because if you don't stop Eric Adams, and if you don't stop Joe Biden, and if you don't stop the New York City racist white power structure, in 20 years, there may not be none of you left. And then on top of cleaning black people out of New York, on top of switching black people out of New York for immigrants, in addition to getting rid of us while they finance and empower brown people who don't like black people, we have a transgender agenda for black children. We have a transgender agenda for black children. We have a transgender agenda for black children. I told you 10 years ago. I told you 13 years ago when I first came to New York City. The LGBT movement is not about gay sex. It's not about the right to choose. It's not about a romantic revolution. The LGBT movement only had one goal, and that was to brainwash and indoctrinate black children to change their sexual identity so they will no longer be able to reproduce and bring forth black children. New York, understand something. When a child gets a sexual surgery, that was a sexual castration. When a girl removes her fallopian tubes and decides to get an artificial penis, when she decides to go back to being a woman, she'll never be able to get pregnant. When a boy decides to take hormone pills and go through psychosurgery and get his testicles removed and replace it with a fake vagina, when he decides he's ready to be a man again, he will not be able to impregnate a woman. Isn't it ironic that 150 years ago, white people used to hang black men from trees? In fact, they still do some places. And when they would hang us, they always castrated us. They removed our penises from our body. Isn't it ironic that now they have brainwashed the children, that you have black children running to the doctor, running to the surgeon, running to the hospital to get their penis voluntarily removed, get their vagina voluntarily removed, get their breasts voluntarily removed. New York City, you have to watch what your children digest. Please watch their books, watch their social media. My phone rings off the hook. My email is jam-packed with stories from black parents and mothers and fathers across America. Dr. Umar, my son came home from school today. He said he thinks he wants to be a girl. Dr. Umar, my daughter came home from school today. She decided she wants to be a boy. Brothers and sisters, this is not about sex. This is about global depopulation. It's global depopulation. The way the white power structure sees it. Once we get rid of black people, we can send the brown people back home. American Africans, I need you to understand something. American Africans, I need you to understand something. American Africans, I need you to understand something. You are the only non-white people in America who cannot be deported. You are the only non-white people in America who cannot be deported. You are the only non-white people in America who cannot be deported. If our African immigrant brothers and sisters get out of hand, they can send them back to Africa. If Cuban brothers and sisters get out of hand, they can send them back to Cuba. If African Latinos get out of hand, they can be sent back to the Dominican Republic, to Puerto Rico. If Chinese or Koreans get out of hand, they can be sent back to Asia. But if you get out of hand, there's nowhere to send you, because slavery destroyed your psychological, spiritual connection to your ancestral homeland. So in order to get rid of black people, you have to commit genocide. You have to kill them off, brothers and sisters. And that's what they're trying to do. Kill us off. New York City, as I close up, because time is upon us, it's 7 on the dot, let me say this. I just came from St. Thomas, U.S. Virgin Islands last night. I just came from Barbados last weekend. I just came from Jamaica 2 weekends ago. I just came from Guadeloupe a few weeks ago. I just came from Ethiopia and South Africa for African Liberation Day. And I want you to know that your brothers and sisters in the Caribbean and your brothers and sisters in Africa are ready for you to come on home. They said, tell my brothers and sisters they have a home right here. Don't let the white man brainwash you into thinking African people don't love you. Yes, we got some African coons in America, but we got some American African coons in America. Don't throw away the whole race for the behavior of a few brothers and sisters. We are needed in the Caribbean. They want us to come down there and help them grow because all their food is coming from Arabs, Chinese, and European Jews. For those of you who can plant, I need to take you to Barbados. I need to take you to Guadeloupe. I need to take you to the U.S. Virgin Islands. Our people need our help. I need to take you to Ethiopia, where they're expecting us to come back and help them build industry and farms and agriculture and schools. Africa needs us. Now, some of you say, as I close, Dr. Umar, why do we care about Africa? We got enough problems in America. I'll tell you why. In the words of the most honorable Marcus Garvey, who said, quote, a strong man is strong everywhere, and a weak man is weak everywhere. I've been all over the world, brothers and sisters, and wherever I go, the European Jew gets respect. Wherever I go, the Asian gets respect. The Chinese get respect. Wherever I go, the East Indian get respect. And wherever I go, even in Africa or the Caribbean, black people are disrespected. Jews are respected because they got a strong Israel. Indians are respected because they got a strong East Indian. Chinese are respected because they got a strong China. Anglo-Saxons are respected, they got a strong British government. American Europeans are respected because they have a strong United States of America. And African people are disrespected all over the world because we refuse to make Africa what Africa needs to be. Until Africa is free, you will always be a slave. Brothers and sisters, take out your phones. I want to give you my phone number so you can reach me. Parents, if you need to reach me for your children, shoot me a text message. We can schedule a time to converse. Brothers and sisters who want to come to the grand opening at the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy, Kwanzaa week, send the info. If you want to work at the school, we need math teachers, we need science teachers, we need language teachers, we need social studies teachers. We need nurses, we need counselors, we need secretaries, we need security guards, we need bus drivers, we need farmers, brothers and sisters, we need aquaponics experts. If you want to work at the school, send me your resume. fdmgresumes@gmail.com. That's FDMGRESUMES. fdmgresumes@gmail.com. Send me your resume. Don't worry about being certified. Private school certification is completely different than public school certification. Most of you will qualify for private school certification if you pass my test. Brothers and sisters, what I'm asking you, New York, do you have a skill? Do you have a talent? Do you have a specialty? Do you have an expertise that you think a black boy can learn that would help his life be a little bit easier than yours? Maybe you know how to build websites. Maybe you know how to teach African martial arts. Maybe you know gun training. Maybe you know hiking. Maybe you know survival skills. Maybe you can do natural hair. Maybe you can teach them how to sew clothing. Queen mothers, you are wanted. My babas and elder fathers, you are wanted. My teenagers, my 20-year-olds, my 30-year-olds, my 40, 50, 60, all the way on up. If you got a skill to teach our children, we welcome you at FDMG. Maybe you can't work every day. Maybe you come in on the weekend and teach your skill. Maybe you come once a month to teach your skill. And to my mothers out there, I am not going to turn my back on our little African princesses. With this, we will be opening the Amy Garvey Anna Douglas Princess Academy, brothers and sisters.
All right.
The girls will have a place at our school. But I need you to know something. We are 100% happy to be nappy institution.
Oh yeah.
You cannot work at my school, and your child cannot come to my school. You cannot volunteer at our school if you got weave, if you got perm, if you got straightened hair, if you got European hair color. You cannot. And black man, if you got a white bunny, you can't come. If you got a brown bunny, you can't come. If you got a yellow bunny, you can't come. And if you got a red bunny, you cannot come. Your wife better be of direct African ancestry, and she better claim it. If she's a Puerto Rican African, so be it. If she's a Dominican African, so be it. If she's a Cubano African, so be it. But she better identify with her race, because if she don't, she does not count. We can't be African on the weekend. We can't be African only in the summer. We got to sleep African. We got to wake African. We got to walk African. We got to talk African. Brothers and sisters, I come with you today, before you, with the spirit of all the ancestors who told me to tell you, don't worry about what the white man is doing. Don't worry about what the brown man is doing. Don't worry about what the yellow man is doing. Don't worry about what the red man is doing. Get busy and get focused on what the black man is going to do, what the black woman is going to do, what black people are going to do. We will build our own schools. We will build our own hospitals. We will build our own jobs. We will build our own banks. We will build our own supermarkets, brothers and sisters. FDMG will be a school by day, but FDMG will be a black community organizing headquarters by night. Once the school opens, we will be hosting the Conscious Singles Convention. If you are a single, conscious African man or woman who is a heterosexual and you can't find a mate, a suitable mate, we will be having a single conscious Africans convention at the school. We will be having a single black women's conference, single black men conference, ex-offenders conference, farmers conference, entrepreneurial conference, Black Wall Street conference, comic book conference, communication conference. Everything that we need, we will do at the school that you built with your own hands from nothing. The Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey Academy. I close with a quote. I close now with a quote from my ancestor Frederick Douglass, who also came to New York. New York was where Frederick Douglass landed after escaping from slavery in Baltimore. Frederick Douglass and I are related by blood. My 4 times great-grandfather Stephen Henry Bailey and Frederick were first cousins. My family came to America in 1701. Black man stolen from the Igbo nation of Nigeria. He married a black woman named Selah, for whom my 12-year-old daughter is named. In 1745, they had Grandma Jenny. In 1774, they had Grandma Betsy. Grandma Betsy was born on the plantation, but she married a free black man, Grandpa Isaac. Between them, 12 children were born. One daughter was named Harriet, another daughter was named Young Betsy, my 5 times great-grandmother. These 2 black women were raped by the slave master who owned our family on the Denton, Maryland plantation. So in February of 1818, Aunt Harriet gave birth to the greatest black leader in American history, the Honorable Frederick Douglass. But Frederick was born Frederick Bailey. He was not Douglass. He changed his name when he got to New York, from Bailey to Douglass, to hide his identity on the fugitive slave trail. My grandfather Stephen was born the very next year, 1819, into slavery. He married another black woman who was also enslaved, Grandma Caroline. They had my Grandpop George. Grandpop George and Grandpop Stephen fought in the United States Colored Troops of Maryland. My Grandpop George was at Appomattox Courthouse on April the 4th when General Robert E. Lee surrendered to Ulysses S. Grant, ending the Civil War. My grandfather was there. My grandfather was in Galveston, Texas on June 19th when General Gordon Granger read Special Order Number 3, emancipating all Texas Africans previously held in bondage, which became the Juneteenth holiday. My grandfather was there. I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying I'm sick and tired of you telling our children that Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves. Abraham Lincoln didn't free no damn slaves. The slaves freed Abraham Lincoln. Yes, sir. That's right. Yes, sir. So after the Civil War, Grandpa George marries Grandma Annie. They have Grandma Caroline. She moved to Philadelphia. She has Grandma Vivian. She marries a Spanish-speaking Cuban immigrant, my great-grandfather Cicero, who I met just before he died. They had my Grandma Ida, who passed away 5 years ago. She met and married James Johnson. They had Jamal Johnson. He met and married Barbara. And on August the 21st, in the ghettos of North Philadelphia, the anniversary of the Nat Turner War, the anniversary of the Haitian Revolution, the anniversary of the George Jackson War, the anniversary of Emmett Till's arrival in Money, Mississippi. I was born in North Philadelphia. Frederick Douglass said, if there is no struggle, there is no progress. Those who profess to favor freedom but deprecate agitation are like men who want crops without plowing up the ground. They want rain but can't stand the thunder or the lightning. They want ocean but they're scared of the awful roar of the water. Frederick said, a man may not get all you pay for in New York, but you will pay for everything that you get. And if we as a people are ever to become free of the injustices inflicted upon us, we must pay for their removal. We may pay with words, we may pay with blows, we may pay with blood, but he who wants to be free must himself strike the first blow. Frederick Douglass said, I prayed on my knees to God for freedom for 20 years. But the good Lord gave Frederick Douglass no freedom until I got up off my knees and prayed with my feet. He said, if you want respect from white people, why do you look for pity? The man who respects you will never pity you, and the man who pities you will never respect you. New York City, take my number, 215-989-9858. I'll repeat it twice and close with a quote from Mr. Garvey. 215-989-9858. 215-989-9858. Grand opening, FDMG, Kwanzaa, December 26th, January 1st. I need New York City in the building, because without New York, there would be no DR.UMAR IFATUNDE. Marcus Garvey said, without confidence in yourself, you are twice defeated in the race of life. Garvey said, with confidence you have won even before you have started. Marcus Garvey said, if the black men and women are not careful, you will drink in all the poison of Western civilization and die from the effects of it. Marcus Garvey was once asked, are you African or are you Jamaican? Are you African or are you Jamaican? Are you African or are you Jamaican? And the leader of the largest black organization in history, the greatest black leader of the 20th century, the only black man to build a mass movement without the use or exploitation of religion. He looked up and said, you asked me, am I African or am I Jamaican? And I answer you by saying, I would never, ever give up a continent for an island. I am an African, yesterday, today, for all time. New York City, one love, family. Yes, sir. Make it all
Hey, yo, look, I gotta shake his hand. Just do their thing. What kind of crystal was that in the middle right there? What's that? Right there.
Thank you.